Well, good afternoon, and you are so welcome to today's Room Junkie show. And I'm really excited with my guest today because anybody who's been here for the last 12 months or 15 months knows that there's one Irish company that I talk about a lot, and that is Scatterbox, because it's one of my favorite babies, and it's just a company that I love. I love their products, I love everything about them. So I am thrilled and delighted to say that Caroline Horgan, the Managing Director of Abbeylands Furniture and Scatterbox, is our guest today. So Caroline, you're so very welcome.
Thank you so much, Anne. I'm absolutely thrilled, and I'm going to quote your previous guest. I'm a little bit nervous, but I don't do a lot of this, and I haven't been on Instagram or direct social media before, so a first for me. But
have you not?
No.
Well, that's hilarious. And you're talking about Susie O'Neill. She told me she never does live interviews, but for some reason she said she would do one with me, and I'm sure it was great. It was fantastic. Now there's people coming in there, so do say hello to us and let us know where you are, because you're in Navan, Caroline. Fantastic story. Abbeylands Furniture was set up in, well, you've just told me, I thought it was set up, Abbeylands was set up in 79 by your dad, but the company actually started in 59, manufacturing furniture, then supplying foam to the trade, and then you came on board in 99. And I'm just curious, I don't know what your backstory is. Is it interiors? Is it business? Is it something totally different? And why did you decide to diversify into interior design and soft furnishings? Because that was gold dust. I think what you've done is just amazing.
Well, no. So my dad actually set up Abbeylands Furniture in 1979, and I actually came on board in 1980. Not 79 yet. So he was a furniture manufacturer it's Abbeylands in Navan, and he was manufacturing from 1959, and he had a shed beside the house cutting foam, and a lot of local manufacturing, whereas foam and fibre. Foam was there was nobody in Navan at the time cutting foam, and he was getting a lot of customers, so he set up the company to supply the rest of the furniture trade cutting foam.
Navan's the furniture centre of Ireland. I'm amazed. Yeah. So he was the only one supplying foam to everybody. Good Lord.
In the town at the time, yes.
Clever man. Okay.
Mainly being supplied by Dublin and Cork at the time. So at the time he was the first converter of foam. So we're from a family of 10. I have siblings. So there's a lot of us in the family, and we all kind of worked in the factory when we were kids and popped over, making buttons and sweeping the floor at the weekends or whatever. So the furniture was kind of in my blood, in my veins. And used to attend trade fairs with my dad, and so it was kind of something that we grew up with. So I suppose when he set up the foam side, he needed somebody to sell, and I was also doing the accounts, and I was working in the help board, and I worked with him like part-time, after hours for a year or so, and then he said, it's worth coming on board full-time. So I started selling foam all over the country, basically, and that was in 1980. So it was a very successful business, and you literally could only supply, we realized you could only supply the local trade. So because foam is bulky and transporting it.
But yet he was obviously a visionary, Caroline, because he identified that there was a very large sustainable market locally, and he was providing a premium product. So it was a win-win for both of them.
It was a very, as I said, a very successful business. 10 of us lived off it, including my mum. my mum might be watching. Hello, Mum.
Oh, say hello to Mum.
And it was a very sustainable business. And so my dad retired in 1999, and that's where you got in 1999. So I took over as managing director in 1999. And prior to that, we had actually stopped manufacturing furniture. There was two other companies set up manufacturing. My brother went manufacturing. He's still manufacturing in Navan, and so we concentrated just on the foam and fibres. So that was quite successful. Because we moved out here to where we are. It's a much bigger factory, and fibre. Polyester fibre was a very coming into the furniture much more than the old foams used to be button back and deep button backs on the backs of furniture. So yeah, it the first couple of years were quite good, and we had very big machinery cutting foam, automatic CNC, and we were supplying the whole industry around Navan and Leinster, really, the Leinster area, Dublin, and anywhere within Leinster. And then,
So where did you have this brainwave and say, you know what? Because to go from foam to cushions, curtains, throws, artwork, everything.
It didn't happen overnight.
No, nothing ever does.
What happened overnight was basically the imports of leather. I mean, it wiped out the indigenous Irish manufacturing. So back in the year around 2000, 2001, leather was starting to come in, and leather was a very expensive commodity. It was, if you were buying a leather sofa back in the day, and
for life,
it was for life, and they were like 7-8 grand for a suite or a sofa, and they became cheaper and cheaper, and imports were coming in, so people were buying them, became more affordable. So it went from the indigenous Irish manufacturer. I mean, the most, I think there's only one other family business left here in Navan manufacturing furniture, and everywhere else closed. And I suppose we had moved here and we looked for, well, what else could we do with the machinery? So we were making cushions for importers of rattan furniture. So we had, when you're looking at a business or you're looking at anything, you're looking at and something is going around you, which is not like you can do nothing about it, beyond your control.
Listen, the last 12 months, 15 months have taught us all that lesson. Yeah,
100%, exactly. So people look and see, well, where are you? What can I do? And I've always had a motto, come with a solution. So what can we do about it? Our market is going. Listen,
Caroline, I do a lot of new builds, and my theory is fix and forget over and over until you have it complete. And you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was, back in 2003, we started, we were supplying some of the major retailers. Then we started supplying in kitchen seat pads as Abbeylands furniture. And we looked at the capabilities. And to be honest with you, I thought memory foam was going to be the way we should have gone. We have foam, we have fibers, and memory foam had been in the market for medical and industrial use, but as a domestic product, it wasn't well known back then. And we developed a lot of product from memory foam. And we went back to a trade fair in 2005 with memory foam mattress toppers. I still have the sign called Abbeylands Home Furnishings, and we went with memory foam mattress toppers and pillows and rattan furniture with some cane cushions and various things, and some cushions, just only a few. And everyone was like, "Oh, I love your cushions. Where'd you get them?" And we said, "Well, we made them in the factory." And
I actually look at
I
love them.
So at that time, we were making everything in the factory, and it was just, everyone was coming up, and all of the inquiries at the trade show were for the cushions. So I thought, there's a market for this, and maybe with everyone, taking curtains off their walls and putting up wooden blinds, and taking carpets off their floor and putting in wooden furniture and leather furniture. And then there's, the softness, where does it come from? And it was cushions. So, yeah, so that was kind of a brainwave, but not really something that I really thought that we could actually sustain the business that we had with that at the time. But it took a few more years to actually realize, what, we're onto the right thing. So that was the first of it. And
when you've perfected it, because I think, to be honest, I think your curtains, and let me tell everybody, this is not an ad, you all know this comes from the heart. There's something about your cushions. And I rob these off the sofa in the kitchen.
But still our bestseller. We have them a few years, and they're still our bestseller.
Got these in foils and Letterkenny, but it's the quality. It's that feather filler. And when I'm filling a cushion, I always put in a filler that's a bit too big. You do exactly the same. So it's lovely and plush and luxurious. The colors are gorgeous. Here's another one, a different one. I love your velvets. They're just so tactile and luxurious, and you'd hug that forever. But it's the colors as well. At the minute, I mean, your Instagram page is a profusion of the most beautiful colors. Whether you love subtle watercolor colors or whether you like something more strong or vibrant, you've done it all. But Caroline, you've done something else as well. I think you have taken. I used to be the biggest curtain snob in the world. I wouldn't touch ready-made curtains until Scatterbox.
Yeah.
Honestly, the quality of the curtains, some of them are interlined. The lining is superb. They hang beautifully. They come in really wide widths now. They are absolutely stunning.
Now, that took a while again. Well, first of all, color. I mean, I was brought up in color. If you know my mother, I'm wearing a black jacket, but you will never see my mother wearing a black jacket. She wears color. And we were, as kids, always dressed in color. And the 5 girls, especially when the older ones, my sisters, we would be matching outfits, and we could have red hot pants and we could have cerise pink dresses. So it was always color. And that was, I suppose, from to have something a little bit different, as I was saying about the neutral backgrounds that came with wood furniture, leather furniture. And when leather came in first, it was, tan, beige and burgundy. And the floors were pine and the furniture was pine. Though there was no color. So really color was very much something that was a pop. And it did take us a while to realize that it was the colored items that we were selling, not like the neutrals. Now I'm not dismissing neutrals, because they're extremely important, and we have a huge range of neutrals.
But something, I have a theory, and I've talked about this last year and a half. Keep your big ticket items neutral, have your sofas in a neutral color, and then you can take in this profusion of color in your throws, in your cushions, in your rugs, in your artwork. And that's what, and now during COVID, we've been through a miserable time, and we've needed our home to support us and make us happy. And I'm just looking at those cushions behind you. Any of them would make me happy. Because it's little things like that will raise your energy in your home. And that's affordable energy, that's affordable style and luxury.
Yes. Has been there, and we also realized that we kind of I would still buy Christmas cushions for myself, and I still have them, and I put them away every year. But for us for the viability of the business, we kind of stuck with the colors, strong colors, a lot of strong colors, and tried to have them mixed, as you said, that you could pick up one cushion and it has color in it, and you can mix that with something else. So a lot of the prints and the colors that we have would have 2 or 3 color tones in them. So when you put them with one, I'd say the ones behind me in the background, they would have 2 or 3 base colors in them. And then there would be at least 3 to 4 planes that would go with that. And
absolutely. I was actually talking to a client today it's been a work in progress for a long, long time, but her sofas are being made. And I told her that I was talking to you today, and already she's her curtains picked from Scatterbox, because it's all she needs to. It's like the eyeliner or the lipstick of interior design. And you're doing artwork as well. Caroline Duffy's artwork, I've just discovered. I love the energy in it.
Art has been, I suppose, there has been a huge transformation since we started in I say, although we launched Scatterbox in 2006, it really is only in about the last 5-6 years that we have focused on it. And in terms of up to that, we were the viability of the business, and it was just, we still have the foam side of the business, and it's going great. And I wish there was more upholsterers out there, because
that is a problem. Yes,
there is. There's a huge turn back to textiles in furniture and manufactured furniture, and not taking away the leather. I mean, obviously there are still people.
I think we've done leather. I think we've all done leather, and I think too, with the advent of the AquaClean fabrics and the Easy Clean fabrics, you can have a fabric sofa now.
You can have a light
color, which is a game changer, and then pile on your Scatterbox. I'm going to take there's a few lovely comments coming in. Trish Collins over in Galway saying, love these cushions. I change them for different seasons. Brenda Bergen is saying, hi, Anne and Caroline. I adore color. I know Brenda, and she's just moved house. So I'm hoping that, yes, it's been a difficult move for her, because she lost her partner. And so this is a new start. So Brenda, we're thinking of you. Patricia Kelly saying, hi, Anne and Caroline. Patricia from Sunny Monaghan. Mary Fern's looking forward. Rita Kelly saying, hi, Anne. These are probably people, some of them are by people you know as well. Jackie is saying, happy afternoon from Lucan. Somebody else asks, Siobhan Savage in Belfast. Jane Canning is in Dublin as well. Maureen McGarvey, I love Scatterbox. I've just
Thank
got
you.
cushions and pictures, love my colour mix. And Mary White and Latifah's over in Birmingham, Karen Doherty. Everybody's saying looking forward to this. And you know what's interesting? I'm not really a mixy matchy person, but those two cushions that I had there, they're not the same, but I have a white sofa in the kitchen and they sit on it perfectly, even though they're similar. They're sisters, not twins, put it like that.
Exactly. So
somebody else said beautiful cushions. Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Thank you very much. Yeah, as I said, so we manufacture over 60% of the cushions we procure fabric from Belgium, from Spain, from Turkey, and we work with the mills. We've been working with these mills for a few years, and we change colors, designs, some prints, and then we have in-house artists or long-term artists, and some of you will know that we have worked with Caroline Duffy on artwork for which just launched, and that's hopefully going forward. We'll work with more.
Suits your personality. I think that art definitely suits and complements the colours.
Yeah. I suppose Scatterbox has been known, and as a business, it takes you a while to understand what your niche is and what your customer wants, and it's very important to identify where your customers are and what are they buying, and to have something new for them each season or each year. Twice a year we would have new product coming on board and new cushions. So the problem is trying to drop the one which you've just shown there, and it's still there. It's one of I have it up we have it in another color here.
Yes.
The new colors coming forward, and so the problem is that they're all so nice. We don't like dropping things the following year, but sometimes the stores like to see some newness in. And
of course they do. How do you stay on top of trends, or how do you identify what the trends are going to be? Because you need to do this so far in advance.
Yeah. So at the moment, we're working on spring, summer next year.
Can I ask you, is it fair to ask what will we be seeing? Is there a change coming?
Do you know, it's funny how things kind of do a full circle and come round again. I mean, if you had...
I know what you're going to say. Come on, please.
Great. That's great. So if you look at homes and you look at everything was grey. Now, we travel to the trends. I mean, up until obviously this last year, it's been quite difficult. The last trade fairs we were at, we were 4 trade shows actually in January and February last year. And the last trade show we were at was in the middle of February. So we would have been looking for this year on the trends, and especially in Europe and in Milan and all of those trade shows are way advanced in terms of the colour, and sometimes way out. Like, I mean, 6 years ago or 7 years ago, the last time I looked at sofas in Milan, and I saw these really low sofas, and I thought, it'll be a long time before they'll come in here in Ireland. We're high back, we want to be able to sit back with the neck up and all of that. But so it takes a while for trends to come true. But the Irish people are so well known for traveling, and they're visiting hotels and they're seeing all colour in hotels. So I think we're quite far ahead of the trends compared to in Ireland in fashion, in colours coming true. So so we travel to the trade fairs. We look at all the trends in furniture. We look at the trends in paint. We look at the trends in wood. We look at, wood, you can see the changes happening in wood.
Big change, yes. All these lighter timbers. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, all of the timbers coming through and the natural woods coming through. Yeah. And then you kind of see, like, I suppose you wouldn't call it, you wouldn't see mahogany much, but you will see these new ash coming through and the darker ashes.
And smoked as well. That's right. Yes. Yeah.
Smoked, those smoky looks. So I suppose a few years ago, because Ireland is so dull, we love colour, and that's why our homes are always a little bit brighter, and it's all traditionally been, I mean, if you drive anywhere around Ireland, how many houses are painted, and it amazes me the difference in colours of houses all over. So we've always had personality, and it always in Ireland had, and in particular in Ireland and a lot of the UK as well, have had an affiliation with colour. So going forward, we you'll still have the basics. So they'll stay a few years, you know. I mean, you'll always have a green, and for example, like a green.
Green is very big at the moment, actually. Greens and navies are still very, very big. Yeah.
Huge. And navies have been, it took a while for navy to actually take off, because traditionally the blues would have been in the bathroom or the colder, but they were more like those kind of sea blues, or kind of colder blues, but the more indigo blues, the more navy blues and warmer. And especially when you warm them up, I mean, you can warm them now, as you can see behind me, with pink,
coral, orange, green, anything,
any color.
Mustards, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So I suppose going forward on the trends, I still think you mentioned neutral on your sofa. And I suppose a lot of, I didn't see your full interview. I think you had an interview on a colour trend. So I don't know, he could have a different opinion to me.
He was certainly into colour in a big way, but his was more the colour psychology, rather than, I think, living with colour. But he was an interesting guy, definitely.
Which I very much agree with, the colour psychology. If you're not in good form, wear pink. Wear a bright color, then it lifts your mood. It lifts you. It makes you. It brightens you. So I do agree with putting color on your body and lifting. You know, it lifts your face. It lifts your just lightens everything. So from color going forward, we look at the trends, but we also look at what's sold and how we might move that forward, or how we might have a new way of showing a blue, you know. So we would still have our cores of blues, then we would have a green story. So they're very much towards still bringing, I know everyone's talking about bringing the outside in, and it's now the inside out. So
yes.
It's now, you know, and we're bringing these gorgeous cushions and throws out in our garden, whereas before
outside rugs, you name it, yes, even in Ireland, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So watch this space for next year.
Okay.
So that's something we're looking at going forward, is you know, more outdoor furnishings. So in terms of trends and colors, we probably run with about 6 to 7 stories. In terms of the color, so we'd have our blues, still the greens, very, very on trend, the greens, and they're very much warming up. Like, you know, when we first started with green, we didn't want it to look like the Irish flag, you know, like the green and gold, and you know, green and gold and orange, and yet we have a cushion right behind us with just tones of that, but they're not exactly green, gold and orange, if you know what I mean, like people would be, but it's still very classical in terms of colors, like the greens. So they're huge going forward. I mean, and they work so well with the wood. They work so well with people are bringing brick and stone into their house. So
everything that works in nature works inside. It does.
Yeah. And then blues. So blues have been a staple with us for quite a long while. If we look at if we look back on our sales and we actually analyze things by color, blue has been up there on the top in all categories. Obviously with mustards and yellows. I'm wearing a bright yellow now today, because on trend on colors, but yellow and tones of yellow. So in other words, like
it's a different yellow. It's a bit like red is gone, but coral is here. That primrose yellow that we had for years and years, that's not here so much anymore, but the strong, vibrant ones are. Here's a question. I knew somebody's going to come up and say this. I get asked this every single week. Is Scatterbox available only in Donegal, or can you purchase in the north? They look vibrant and fabulous. Oh, sorry, that wasn't the question that I was expecting.
Oh, no.
Can you buy it in the north? Sure you
of course, yeah, we have lots of stockists. So if you actually go and click on our stockist links, we have stockists. We list all our stockists in the north. So yeah, no, Northern Ireland has been a huge market for us, and I think we're in Easy Living in interiors, and we're also in Harvey Norman's. Just to name 2 well-known stores up north that I would know, and we have some very good independent stores.
There's a list on the website, because I've looked at it. You can easily find it.
Yeah, so if you put in your location, you can go within 100.
For choice, because the question I'm often asked is, can you buy online? But you can't. You buy from the stockists, which is absolutely fine, because there's loads of them. But Caroline, go back to the you're talking about being very popular in the north. I think it's not last spring, but the spring before, I was over at the NEC in Birmingham with clients specifically to source furniture for their home. I didn't come to say hello because I was just so under pressure. I was actually overwhelmed and shocked by the size and the scale of the Scatterbox exhibition. It was up there as big as anybody else's. It was phenomenal. I was so proud, actually. So proud. I thought, my goodness,
It was a decision we made. I mean, shows are extremely expensive.
I would imagine,
you know, and then you need the footfall and whatever. But you know what? We decided, I remember a long time ago, my father gave me some advice when we were going to have a big meeting with when I was starting off on the Scatterbox, and my dad said to me, show them the bench or show them the welly, you know. So in other words, show them the bench, like even though it's only you, we as a company, so you bring somebody with you, and you might turn around and say, quickly, what are you today? Oh, I'm the marketing manager today, before we had the team. So when we were building the team, everyone was, today your title could be, you know, I'm the sales manager, but you could be the sales order processor as well, but you could also be the payment controller. You know, at the beginning, it was very small. So it always stuck with me. And we just decided one year to invest in a big stand, and we invested in a very big stand build, and we went 3 meters high, and we used all the space, and we went a little bit more minimalist in what we were displaying, and
it's a good thing, I think. Huge, that's a good thing.
Huge success for us. So yeah, it was really, it was a very big eye opener now in terms of the stands, and we've been doing that now for I don't know, when did you say? It's about,
I think it must have been year before last. Yeah.
So we went up to that. We were looking at the price per square meter. I mean, you're talking of spending 300 to 400 quid sterling just for the floor space.
And your location was particularly good as well. I think it was elevated, Caroline. I really did. In fact, I'll be honest, it was probably my takeaway of the whole show, because I was so impressed, and I should have got in touch with you and said, you know, well done. That was brilliant. We're saying it now. Caroline Duffy Martin is here, and she's saying, hi, Anna. Caroline, love working with you, Caroline. I'll bet you do.
Thank you. Good. I know Caroline is great, and she's some beautiful scarves out there if people want to go on her website.
You know what? I saw them. I actually had a peek at her page last night. Oh, listen, it's fantastic. But you know what I loved as well? Recently, I think it was on Instagram that I saw it. It was one of your sewers actually sitting at her machine, sewing and chatting. And I thought, it doesn't get more personal and real than that, you know. And you know what I love your slogan, made with love in Ireland.
I know.
Genius.
It's funny. One of the things that you put on when you sent me an email and something about fabulous, and it just reminded me.
I always what was it? I always said stay fabulous, and then because of COVID, I started saying stay safe and stay fabulous.
Yeah, I know.
So and you had a fabulous story for me.
Yeah, no, a good friend of mine a few years ago, especially when you travel abroad and you meet people and they're so, you know, and they're so formal and everything, and to say, oh, how do you do? And this friend of mine said, oh, I do fabulous. And I just, you know, so we're passionate about everyone that works here, right through from, you said about the sewers, he said, so our sewers, or people that pack the cushions, people that select the cushions, they all love it. And there's nothing more than taking the new development down, and we gather everybody together and we show them what we're thinking, and we get their feedback. And if everybody loves it, we know it's going to be a winner, and we put double the amount on order, because we have to have some feedback of what do people think, you know. So we'll know. I mean, we try and cover, while we cover color, we do try and cover different customers' tastes.
Because you have to. But I think that quite well, because, you know, even if somebody has a very conservative palette, there will be classical cushions there in the range that you can. That will appeal to them. But I think there's something about the fun ones that might even, and I always love pushing people out of their comfort zone a little bit. Yeah. You might just fall in love with one of your cushions and bring it home, and it just pulls everything together. But yet they might never have picked it themselves had it not been there for
Correct.
them.
Yeah. Well, I suppose in terms of fun ones and things, like we don't do typography and we don't do, meaning like slogans, I love my mum, you know.
That's been overdone as well.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the things that,
exactly. And they're being done, you know, by artwork companies and etc. And I said, we don't do Christmas and we don't do Easter with the bunny rabbit and stuff, you know. So we are inclined to try and have the cushions to have longevity. So, you know, like you will find a Scatterbox cushion. I'm still finding some of our very, very first cushions when I walk into people's house. Oh, that's Scatterbox, before we started putting labels and everything on them. And the made with love. I mean, because we love what we do. Everyone that loves here, one of the most important things to do when you come as part of a team here is to like interiors, or like what we do. We don't have to like everything, but you know, we love, you have to like, you know, we're kind of a family team, and a very much you know, we don't all go out personally together, obviously during COVID, but we've always had a great affinity right through the factory, as I said, right from the office, from sales, and we try and keep everybody informed as what's happening. So in terms of, you know, we try and listen to the feedback to the customers. And I mean, our Instagram page has been a huge eye opener for us into what people are looking for and what people like. And, you know, it might take us 6 months to, you know, to put something new in that we get a few inquiries for, and we say, that's a good idea. We'll work on that. And, you know, it'll take us 6 months, but we'll have it next year.
And 6 months is a short enough turnaround if you think about it, really.
Yeah, well, it's probably a bit longer than that now, to be honest. But, you know, as I said, like we're working now on January, and we're a little bit, you know, on next year. But they're quite long lead times by the time you start development and get the product in, is obviously, and then arrange. We try, because we're a B2B. We do a lot of photo shoots beforehand and catalogs, and we used to have a deadline for being ready for the trade fair, and that's, you know, now that they're not happening, you know, it's a little bit less. You have to try and see, well, when are we going to be able to show new collections to the customers? How are we going to get to the consumer? How are we going to get our product to the retailers so that they can actually have it on the store and eventually then get to the consumer? So Instagram has been that, really, and very proud of the team that have been working on that.
I have to say, recently now, they've been doing a lot of cushions photography and cushions, how would I say, just putting all the cushions together. They're absolutely fabulous, really, really fabulous. And each one is different, very, very different, but they're all equally gorgeous.
Yeah. So yeah, I suppose, as I said, it's trying to have something that the main thing is that we look and see, well, as I said, it needs to fit in 3 different ways. So if it's in a store and you're looking at the ones behind me, I mean, we would only have single ones here on the showroom, but in a store they might have 4 or 5 or 6 cushions of the same one, so that you can take a few. But you need to, now it is, as you said, it's very much eclectic, and it's a little bit mix and match. It's not like you won't have, you know, 5 of the same cushion across the couch. You'll have one of this or 2, and some plains and maybe a different shape.
That's right, and that's another thing that you do as well, a standard. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I was in Foy's. I've been doing a passive house in Dublin, and because of COVID, everything was shelved. So Mary and I took a trip to Foy's, and we picked up all of your fabulous ready-mades and cushions and everything, just like that. But the lead time is short as well, which is fantastic, because the shops don't hold the stock, but you do. So to get it to them is quite quick.
Yeah. So that's another thing. I mean, you are, I suppose, in a way, that because our business had been successful prior to COVID, prior to the Celtic Tiger, well, the indigenous furniture manufacturer didn't have the Celtic Tiger. So we as a business didn't have this Celtic Tiger era, because at the business we had back 10 years ago. So now moving into the soft furnishings, we had a successful business. So we stocked and we did it by catalogue. So it's funny, our catalogue now is is on the internet, but the consumer, our buyers still like to have a physical catalogue. So we produce the photographs for them for the website, and we produce the catalogue in advance, and we do photo shoots and trying to show it how it might look. And I know if you see a lot of our photo shoots, there's a lot of cushions all together because there's just too many photographs to put 3 and 3 and 3, and then.
But I love that effect. I love seeing them like that. It's just, I think it's stunning, absolutely stunning. I'm going to see if there are any more questions here, because sometimes I am a rascal and I miss questions and things. But I think it's just all, no questions per se. You've answered the one about colours and trends. Is velvet going to stay, do you think?
But velvet has always been out. I mean, a friend of mine, her daughter was helping her choose some fabric to reupholster her furniture, and I had velvet. I mean, velvet. I had a velvet sofa. It's fantastic to wash. It's like most velvets are 100,000 rubs, and most stains can be removed from it. So it was more like a Draylon velvet, if like a woven velvet, rather than the velvet that's out now. I mean, it was made in.
I prefer this one for sure.
Yeah.
It's so tactile. It's lovely. It's lovely.
So it's not new. It's hundreds of years. There's been, and if you go back on very old furniture, velvet was a thing. So it's just come in a more affordable form, and being much more readily available. So I think it's here to stay, and we try and introduce different bases, and we have different bases. And in fact, the one that you picked up there has some linen and cotton in it. The one
feels like that. It's lovely, actually.
That isn't, but that would be more like on the chenille. That's a woven fabric. So when I think I was saying about the trends in terms of it's digital printing has really transformed the market in textiles, in all type of textiles, and now they can digitally print onto plastic, onto melamine, onto glass, and they can print everything. But prior to that, in terms of textiles, if you wanted to get some color, it was woven, and you were very limited. You wouldn't get that watercolor look that you spoke about. And yeah, I mean, you had screen prints, and you had to pay for you had to, if you were going on a design, it costs the printing mills for every single color. They had a plate, and so you were very, very limited on. So if you had something like what you've on you there, I mean, there's an enormous amount of colors on that. If you have that, you could end up with 28 or 30 plates of different colors. So that wasn't physically possible. So digital printing transformed the textile industry, both in clothing and in homeware, and the absorption of the ink, and it is an ink because it's printed, and you could do pigment printing, which is a slightly more expensive way to do it. And all of our curtains are pigment printed. In other words, they're printed onto paper first, and then the paper then is transferred and heat printed onto a base fabric. So the absorption of the color into the fabric, you're limited in terms of the bases that you can use, because if you use too open a weave, then it just fine right through. So I suppose silk would be an example. So that's a really, really, really fine weave, and you get these gorgeous silk. That's why you just have color always looks amazing on silk. So we would travel a lot to try and source bases, new bases, but we probably stick with about 6 different bases, and velvet being number 1. And we were thinking, well, how long is it going to last? But we do kind of linen base, and we do a chenille base, and then sometimes we do textured bases, particularly in the fabrics that we work on in Turkey. So they would be woven first, pre-dyed, and then another design. So there's 3 different processes, and sometimes 4 with gold going on top or foiling going on top of that again. So there's a lot of work in terms of how we select designs, and that come into your home, and with our lovely seamstresses making the fabrics, you can see the difference when you look at them. And all of the fabrics are upholstery quality, so they're not, you know, they have longevity with them, and that's been really important to us, you know.
No, I mean, I would tell you, I wouldn't endorse it. I've used, to be honest, I've been using Scatterbox for quite a while. I can remember doing 5 apartments over in Glenties, gosh, a long time ago, that were 100% Scatterbox from
Yeah.
boys. Somebody else coming in to say, hi, Anne and Caroline, just after joining, but we'll listen back later to what I missed. Love the colours. We all love the colours. I think it's just, I don't know, I think it's because of COVID as well and the times we're living in. We need that colour, and we need colour in the right way.
Oh, we do.
And it's such a positive colour. It's wonderful.
I think something to bear in mind, and you asked about the trends and how do you colour. Like when you're wearing clothes, I mean, there are people, and you know, and they will only wear neutral. They'll only wear that just suits them. I am a certain shape, I'm a certain height, and I buy clothes to suit me, right? So when you're buying for your home, I think you really need to take those things into account. Firstly, your own taste, like what do you like? But secondly, actually have to have, I mean, we would hear, oh, that's gorgeous, but wouldn't suit my home. And that's actually a really good way. What is your home like? Is your home, you know, an apartment? Is your home a semi-detached house where you're all, and it's small, and you want to make, you know, and you want to make it, and you want to maximize the look and the space? Is your home a new build with big, you know, the current new trend of having big, huge windows, high ceilings,
massive architectural windows, and no curtains, probably, Caroline. The colour comes in, and the soft furnishings, the rugs, the art, all of that.
100%. Yeah. So all of that, or you could have a little cottage or whatever. So whatever your home is like, or your style of your home, as well as the style of yourself, you know, you can bring that in. And to me, there's nothing wrong. There's no right way of doing something. There's no, like, if you've gone in and you've literally brought in, I'm sure, you know, as an interior designer yourself, you have to consider the client and what do they like.
Totally,
and I mean,
totally.
You know, to have a style. I know Scatterbox has a style, like we have a style in that we're colour, but we do, and we have been pointing out that we do neutral. We just probably don't show it on its own, and we, you know, we have some really classical fabrics, and you know, you can mix and match them, and it's a question we're asked quite a bit, you know, looking for, have you some neutrals, and we say, yeah, did you just type in neutral and they all come up? So they're, you know, but we have the mix with the color. So in terms of style for your home and the trends going forward, it's very much your style, and there's no right or no wrong way. I love mixing. In my home, it's eclectic.
Okay.
We get a lot of, so say for example, you mentioned our art earlier, and we choose the frames to frame the painting. It's mainly, the main thing with our art is the painting itself. Like that's the part you should be looking at. Not the frame is lovely. It's just an enhancement. It's like the piping on the outside. It's only frames it. So we would get a question, oh, but do you have that in a silver frame, or do you have this, maybe it has a silver frame, do you have it in a gold frame? And we say, no, we don't, but it's enhanced the painting. And you know, a lot of the time we might use a champagne color, which almost could be if you put in the setting, but just try that in your home and you'll see it fades in the background. On, you know, I mean, I'm sure you've got a lovely, is that an Irish print behind you there from a city or a Dublin?
No, it's not. It's French, I think. But you know, it's funny what you're just saying. I did a lovely artist called Sheila O'Byrne on. Actually, one of my favorite pieces of art is in the kitchen, is one of hers, and she insists on always framing her own work. And I agree with you. You don't frame your art to suit your home. You frame your art to suit the picture, always. Correct. And it will mix. I mean, I'm looking into the kitchen there. I can see gilt frames, white frames.
Correct.
God knows what is all around it that I can't see, but you're absolutely right. But we need art. Here's Louise Arnold O'Mara saying, hi, Anne and Caroline. I have a teal suite of furniture and got lovely curtains with a flowery print, but I can't seem to get matching cushions. The curtains are teal, grey and white. Is there any other colour I could introduce that would match the suite? Teal suite, curtains with teal, grey and white.
It's
Possibly
always
take
good.
pink with that. Blush pink maybe would work with
You
it.
could have orange
Orange, yeah.
orange, and yellows.
Even that lime green, that zesty lime green.
Orange and yellows, even behind me, actually that way.
That way, yeah, because we're mirror
Just
image,
in the back of that there.
Yes.
It's you can either decide to look for the backing to be on the teal and then some print on the front, but it sounds like to me, she's got a beautiful color in the teal suite, and then she can give it this pop of color. And the curtains in the background, they don't have to be, as we said, matchy, but you can have. It's funny when teal came out first. I don't know if you remember this. In clothing, it was matched with brown, and it did not sell. I mean. Teal.
I think was there a Scatterbox curtain that was teal and brown and a light background, or am I imagining that?
I can't remember. I don't know if we had a teal. We don't have a teal at the moment, and we did have cushions with some orange and teal in it. And the teal as a color is a very strong. I mean, we have teal right through. We have all.
It's a good color, yeah.
Really, really. It's on the greens, and it's on the greens and the blue, and it's a gorgeous color. So yeah, she could introduce some oranges. There's a cushion on our website called an Ariana, and here as a final, I just grab it here.
Do because I'm just thinking, Louise. Teal, grey, and white is a good combination. I like the sound of that. So you just that's very rich. Yes,
and teal with the gold, and
that's gorgeous.
That's a beauty. Or you could have teal and mink. We have a lot of teal. So again, on our website, if she just puts in teal, and it'll all pop up on the ones that have. If it has multi, the other thing is to look for on the website when it says multi, because multi there's a lot of colors in it, but we try and put the base color in as a background. So we'd have it in both as multi and in as teal. So it's both also good to have. Yeah.
Oh my God, Karen, I could keep you here all day. I could keep everybody here all day because the passion comes through, and that's what I want. I won't have anybody sitting here opposite me who is not totally passionate about what they're doing, and I can just feel the passion within the company. And I think that even transmits or extends to your suppliers, because a lot of them are small outfits and smaller shops where the people working at really, really are passionate about the product, and they're knowledgeable. They, they know their colors, and they just love what they're doing.
Well, it's a pleasure. We have a lot of customers, thankfully, around the country, and we try and the main thing, as you said, is servicing the customer, and then they can have, because they have the shop front, and then we keep the backup stock, and we hopefully now, and if COVID didn't happen, we would have we have a small amount of international customers, and the UK has been a huge 30% of our business is going to the UK, and we had exhibited in Ambiente in Frankfurt in February last year. And February the year before. You need to kind of exhibit 2 or 3 times before you actually, the buyers over there, they're not like the Irish. Oh, you're Irish, we'll definitely buy from you. Whereas, they love to see an Irish company. Irish are really great about supporting Irish business. And so internationally, we were just getting some traction just before COVID. So, so hopefully we'll have more. We will have more.
Of course you will.
Shops around Europe as well.
Oh, absolutely. No, I think this Scatterbox as a company is just going to grow and grow exponentially, because I think you've definitely hit your target market. Your target market, and it's just a joy. I am so thrilled. I'm conscious of your time, Caroline, so I'm not going to keep you any longer. We've gone way over time.
We have. I see that. Yeah, I didn't realise. I thought I was there starting off. So, God.
Time flies when you're having fun.
I'm delighted to be on board. And as I said, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity. And hopefully we will have some more interviews on Instagram and whatever, and get us out there, because although you're saying we're very well known, it's only really particularly since COVID that people actually start to recognize the name. They realize, oh, I have them, but I didn't know you were Irish. So yeah.
And that is important, but I think it's that slogan, made with love in Ireland. That is just genius. And I think that just encapsulates everything that is beautiful about the company,
And
special about the company.
we're a guaranteed Irish company, so yeah, that's also, you know, it's a good point, and it's quite hard to get the recognition to be an Irish, a guaranteed Irish company. You have to match certain criteria, and yeah, so and I'd like to take this opportunity for any of the team that are watching to thank them very, very much for getting behind me and supporting and working on their own initiative, and yeah, onwards and upwards.
Wonderful.
And, thank you very, very much, Anne.
Oh, you're so welcome, Louise, and thank you for your ideas. And we'll look at the website. You should all look at the website because it's a joy. Somebody else is giving you big claps. Jen Donahue, is that somebody you know?
Oh yeah, Jen.
It's not familiar to me. See, but and for everybody who's popping in on the replay as well, you know, hello from both of us. And
hello.
Most people do pop in later on because people are working and they're just busy now. But Caroline, I'm so glad that you agreed to come on with me. This is just great. Jane Canning is saying fab selection. Absolutely.
Thank you very, very much. And
these girls,
good luck to Irish businesses. And if there is anybody out there listening and that is an Irish business going to export or looking about exporting, we would be love to just pass on our advice in terms of what you mentioned earlier about the trade shows and stand shows, because you definitely need to stick together as an Irish company. And you know, there's a big learning curve out there when exhibiting in the UK and in Europe. So
that's very generous of you, Caroline. That's fantastic.
Yeah, just reach out to anybody that is any other Irish companies that are out there that obviously not selling cushions, but
there are lots of Irish textile companies and crafters and people that have stumbled on something and are very good at what they do, but they don't have the kudos. They don't have your dad telling them what to do. So that's lovely. That's really generous.
Thank you very, very much for having me on.
Well, listen, thank you so much, guys. I think I'm going to be back here live on Friday for a Q&A, but we've got a family wedding on Saturday, and my mother-in-law might well give me a job to do on Friday, but if I can, I will be here on Friday. Next Wednesday, I'm back with a treat. Maura Mackey, the interior designer and home stager down in Cork, is my guest. So we'll have lots of information and lots of fun and lots of tips. And oh, Caroline, that was my joy, my pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much. Bye.
So remember, Scatterbox, manufactured in Ireland and made with love in Ireland.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys. Stay safe, stay fabulous, and I may see you on Friday.